Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Seda Jeba Nede Denye Nanga Sende Bende Sheze Lama Jebe Zonga Talo Nebe Sena Shinjo Tenba Yeje Geja Shuso Sheje Chungwen Jabe Lotu Gesa Nabe Genjo Leshe Tabe Beje Lame Zebe Tongde Tembe Den Yewo Juye Nangzo Mendo Dan Tishe Zobe Nangse Deja Wensha Yedu Chuden Jazo Shena Shinjo Chela Cheba Kashi Tomen Dene Saba Lunga Yiso Mege Jiji Kebarang Domba Sumje Mede Ningne Jeba Jabe Sozo Sha Ningme Dede Mande Jun Shuje Mangben Denjo Deye Gombo Jeje Labjin Ze Taja Sambang Tabe Yira Jeze Laman Damba Hena Shugu Kala Tenzi Jinte Cheda Zamben Deje Simba Sabje Cheje Chawa Abdu Namda Vise Yingle Shenba Sonjo Gula Chado Ming Tame Nango Sugu Rabdan Side Bando Mino Demba Taso Chini Sabe Gewa Tendan Jowa Gunla Pambenda Kebara Jizu Losan Nembe Ningbu Rendo Seje Sho Mime Zebe Dejen Jen Chime Jembe Wangbo Jambe Yang Debo Mari Jomzen Kanjin Kebe Zujin Zonga Ba Losan Tabe Shablan So Mime Zebe Dejen Jere Se Chime Jembe Wangbo Debo Mari Jomze Sanwen Da Kanjin Kebe Zujin Zong Lozan Tabe Shabla Sowan De Mime Zebe Dejen Je Chime Kembe, Wang Bon Jambe, Yang Tubo Mali, Kanjin Kebe, Zujian Zonga, Lozan Tabe, Shala, Sowan De, Panden Zabe, Lama Rimbo, Tazo, Jiwurun Benden, Denshola, Kadi, Chimbe, Kwani, Guzon Dorjee, Wudun Zendo Se, Panden Zabe, Lama Rimbo, Tazo, Ningaran Bemen, Denshola, Kadi, Chimbe, Kwani, Chodan Tumung Wudun Zendo Se, Panden Zabe, Lama Rimbo, Tazo Ningaran Bemen Denshola, Kadi, Changzhou Ningbin Bado Denbara Yo Masan Jume Shera Paru Maje Manga Namge Ngowo Nye Soso Raje Yiche Tuzon Gebe Yum Chaze Lo De Ta Gade Paranga Para Samgade Bodhisattva Soha Dea Ta Gade Para Bodhisattva Soha Dea Ta Gade Para Sam Bodhisattva Soha Gere Tongda Jajo Shiva Da Temban Doshen Ashe Denjan Den Jo Yo Sa Shin Be Ye Jo Je Me Do Dagi Chujurun Jibe, Zonam Jian, Dola, Pinche, Sanjin, Dubara, Shu. Soji Chonam La, Janju, Bado, Dani, Jabzo, Jian, Dagi Chujurun Jibe, Zonam, Dola, Pinche, Sanjin, Dubara, Shu. Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the perfection of samadhi or concentration, chapter number. Where we left off last time is talking about, why we shouldn't be attached to our body. In other words, that we need to let go attachment to our body. We are on page 134 and stanza 179. Those of you who have this English translation of the guide by Stephen Batchelors. And so as Geshe explained, that we should not be attached to our body. And, that's because when we die, the body gets either cremated or burned, or it is dispersed in other ways, such as being eaten by the vultures or the birds, devoured by other animals. And so there is, it's not something worth to be attached to. And we also know that when life comes to an end, we have to go alone, and body is even of no help. It cannot accompany us. And so therefore, we should not be attached to our body. But then should a thought arises in our mind that, well, I understand when I die, the body is cremated or is dispersed in some other ways, I understand that. But while I'm alive, I'm breathing, I need it. I need to take care of it. Yes, we do need to take care of it, provided that this body is meaningfully used to engage in positive actions and practice. Then it's worth kind of taking care of. But if this body is used more to create negativities, accumulate a lot of bad karmas that can cause more suffering, that is really useless to be attached to it and take care of it. This body is a matter, pembo in Tibetan. It has no mind, of its own. It is a matter. It's not a sentient being. Body is just a matter. So therefore, we should learn to let go attachment to this body. So if we think that as long as I'm alive, I need this body, this is the basis of I or the self, and I need to take care of it. Yes, we need to take care of it, but we should not, regard it as if this body is I or the self, right? That's where we are mistaken. This body is not I or the self, and we should not, regard it as such. But we should understand that this body is a contaminated body, for lack of a better word in English, in Tibetan called Shartse. So our 5 aggregates or skandhas are called contaminated skandhas or aggregates, body and mind. So its very nature is suffering. As long as we have contaminated aggregate, we are going to have suffering. There is not going to be end to the suffering. That's the nature of contaminated aggregates. So the only good thing, so to speak, is that have this contaminated aggregate, if you could use this as a basis to create and do practice, then it makes sense to cherish it and take care of it. But other than that, it could become the basis for doing a lot of negativities and unwholesome actions. Then that would be very unfortunate, right? That we would be creating a lot more causes for future suffering. So understanding its nature, understanding that this body is not I or the self, and only if we could use it to do something positive in practice, yes, then we cherish it. Other than that, we should not be attached to it, and we should not use the body to do negativities.
not so sure.
No.
That in a number some years in the two to hit the same to them, same to be some of the Lul's position of a loser, young Julius Allen with the Doha shot, depend on Maris.
No.
And so in the same you do down Maris. She the same source of the mirror story with the Luigi was Pento Maris. She was sure because of them. Since you were the Mangata was there to Corres, Ludig be doing it, she was and cover Melson, Meltaya, and Tesson, Rashija, sort of what did she occurs in and it's hard of the doing it's hard the same Bahama was yet. Most of you was or these are little bit number in Shunro. That number some years and the Luding negative, the much hit of the day in the same days. Same day, Lud the Meba because of the Penta, young Lily was all dry, same the subject in Tsar the Meba Mazona and Jigmaris, but this was that. Shinogi big 10 rid of the Chavayoris. Because she 10 rid of the Semant of Suina. In the Semat of Nazata, when the Semat Paton degrees. Could Semat Lunga Kanisu to a career of the Juju Maris?
No, sir.
Could Toshan the charge of Tarawa.
No, sir.
Said no, you just say I did the big Semat of the Kazu Maris.
No, sir.
Call it Judy Yambo Mother. Fakazi Mel said, Dharma and Sassilia, Juju to Maris. She now Judy Dagmar Zido.
No. So as Geshe explained that because our aggregates, skandhas, body and mind, or psychosomatic aggregates are in the nature of suffering, as long as we have these contaminated aggregates, we are bound to experience suffering. There's not going to be an end to that, because that's the very nature of our contaminated aggregates. But that being said, our contaminated aggregates are not the root cause of suffering. So that's why there is a big difference among many things between a Buddhist approach to uprooting suffering and some other religious tradition in some Hinduism, right? How they recognize that because of these contaminated bodies, we experience a lot of suffering. So they think that if we destroy the body, right, sacrifice it, then that would end the suffering. That's why in certain sections of Hindu practice, so they have a self-sacrifice, right? You can lit up 5 fires on your fingers of the body, so burn them, right? Then that's a way to find the moksha, liberation, isn't it? Or you might decide to jump on a trident, right, and kill yourself. Well, when this body dies, then they think that's the end of the storyline, suffering. Okay? But this is where the Buddhists differ. They say, no, that's not going to be. As long as your mind is deluded, you have not transformed your mind, again you will be reborn and you will have another body, likely, right? Again, the suffering continues. So that is not the real solution to end the suffering. If you really want to end the suffering from Buddhist point of view, then you have to look within and uproot the real cause of suffering, right? That's the only way to do it, not to destroy your body, just to end the suffering. Although we know our contaminated body is in the nature of suffering. As long as we have it, we will have suffering. And so as Geshe explained, that when we look at what we call dependent arising and cause and effect at 2 different levels, the external cause and effect relationship among things and the internal cause and effect relationship within our mind. Okay? So these in some way are very different, right? In terms of external cause and effect, if you are, pricked by a thorn, sharp thorn, right? Then you know that's what is giving you the pain. You just get rid of the thorn, isn't it? You don't spend time examining what is this thorn, why it pricked me. Then that nothing required. Just take the thorn out, your pain is suffered. But the internal cause and effect is not as easy as physically removing something, right? So you have to transform your mind and uproot, the distorted things within your mind. So it's not as easy as plucking out the thorn from your body. So we have to understand that. So that the Buddhist way to end the suffering is, although this contaminated body, as long as we have it, we will suffer, but simply destroying it is not the real solution, because you will reborn, you will have, again, another body. Okay? So if you really want to end the suffering, then you should look within and uproot the real cause of suffering. So that's the way to do it. No.
我第三句我写的，跟他吃肉这多公家的驴，刚要的驴都没有谈的，可是驴没有说谈的，那这三句话是吧？但我这那边用那种的呀，这的这提前说的，开始现在三句呀的驴鬼呀谈的这个嘛是吧？谁的口你不谁现在别家伙现在也工资利润我嘛，现在这个。呀，都这里可以我也我旅中央可以那旅的呀，学习旅下也是，我提前说在，可是谁人不谁啊？他到这个呀，那公司些啊，这什么都是旅贵呀，他到那公司些用的是这个嘛是吧？现在钱少着的，我把媳妇生学到的，我这的，别人用的是生没啥的呀，这的，我把看住的吧。
And Geshe would also like to clarify a point here that in certain, as we call it, non-Buddhist tradition, in the footnote, the examples coming out of Hinduism here, right? So that's the contemporary religion Buddhism, dealt with for over centuries. So there is a belief, strong belief, that this body is a source of many suffering. If you don't have this body, then you will have not all the suffering that is related to the body. So that's why they have a lot of practices like you jump on the trident and you just end this body, kill yourself, or you burn certain part of your body so that when it gets burned, then to that extent the suffering is eradicated or something. And so that's the belief system, isn't it? But from Buddhist point of view, that's not real solution to end the suffering. But at the same time, we know in Buddhism, we do fasting retreat, isn't it? The fasting retreat is not really to cause, your physical decline, so to speak, to destroy it. The fasting retreat is, it's done in a very moderate way, actually, right? Buddhist middle path, right? Your fasting is that if you eat too much over it, well, you become sluggish and you're not going to practice well. If you don't eat at all, then sometimes really you don't have the energy to practice. So somewhere, we need to bring some balance to it, isn't it? So the fasting retreat that Buddhists do, such as Nyungne practice, is not the same as sometimes the fasting retreat done in the non-Buddhist tradition, Hinduism, i.e., where their goal is to destroy the body. To destroy it, decline it. But that's never been the purpose of Buddhist fasting retreat. So Geshe would like to clarify those distinctions.
我的他驴被扎胸中心的印章，那的驴子说要同他俩，那边是我那边了，说我的看啥看呢？你看那么多地方嘛，我是不是杀着过是吧？像驴子下些看见胸呢。这是个呀，驴到那里啊，那地方是用着住是吧？现在驴相信多个，就是这么我得听的。
Yes. So why we must, let go attachment to the body is we know that if we cherish our body out of attachment, then we know, that, we, how should I say, get involved. So busy doing so many things just to take care of this body, to feed it, to clothe it. It's not just simply feeding and clothing it, right? We want the best house, right? We want the best food. We want the best, everything best for the body, right? And that just makes our life so busy and hectic. And then, but at the end, it's never satisfied anyway, right? And in the process of that, we end up creating a lot of negativities, and then we have to pay for those negative karmas. On the other hand, if we have, relatively speaking, a less attachment to the body, then to that extent, we are less busy taking care of it, right? That, we understand that we don't have to have the best of everything for the body. because we don't have that attachment to the body. So that makes life much simplified in a sense, and then we find opportunities to do practice.
我这现在旅途到里啊，旅先把先不些旅途到里，每年多少工作刚刚被叫个协助下个月时候，旅了下些不卫生这些，现在这时候是旅了下些是做嘛的事，我这他多到这不现这是我在的。
So the bottom line is that attachment to the body, brings a lot of sufferings. And prompt us to do a lot of negativities, and that will bring a lot of more suffering. It's not only that attachment to the body is just one afflictive emotion that comes, but relating to the body, we also get angry, isn't it? Right? So we, all kinds of delusions kick off. In relation to the body. Out of attachment, we cherish it too much, and in order to protect it, we get so mad and angry and cranky and all of that. So all other delusions will pop up, and so we understand that. So those never bring peace, and those create a lot more sufferings for us.
我这现在农业的把是旅的利用旅的现在，这个开始碰着这个是这农业么东西面上。这个时候的话，他这个这个农业就么子，旅下线上面有些小周不周些下线生活上，而且呢，那旅的偏多么子，旅下线开始跟这个呀，那把它这是啥下也是，我第三年旅的各方面都是，我这时候什么，阳光就电柱旅大些不是下去是吧？我第一个是这么的，这个旅下线上不是这个是吧？
So in this context, sometimes in the Tibetan we might use the word cherish. It doesn't have the same meaning as rather cherish in some other contexts. Here the cherish means we take care of it out of attachment, so as Geshe said, our aggregate of the body in particular is contaminated because this is the outcome of contaminated karmic actions and delusions, isn't it? Contaminated karmic actions and delusions, Le and Nyunmong, they have produced this body. So that's why this body always has the nature of suffering, and it magnetizes a lot of suffering, if you will. And the less we attach to this body, then we find more space and time and opportunity to do practice. The more we attach to the body, then we get so busy doing things for the body, and that involves creating a lot of negativities.
편의당에서 때문에서 미세배 샤미르바 다들 근데 거기서 미세다르지 약고시 거의 파야고 수야고시 하죠 파두야신 수두자샤 계셔 어디래 류를 들어간 편의 인나외로 매자 콜 약보도 가시는 들이야 레로와요 멀시고로 어디서 도든요 샤다미르기 유제양 다다 소베 류소 다들 세고 so jan chiwa jangbam tar shiwe dus shagu de jisa so ji seba joja rongde li pebo koran gi ngene se penda be jis shaba meje ni ze shewa la she da yo mena jude ji shero penu so kaya me shebe se pebo tela sa 다니 샤와시 미릭 소스 어디다 율페 약보도 가지 초조 가지 신의 콜이야 가보이면도 그 페도 지금 누자시나 누자시는 거에 콘지시야 말이지 제가 류코를 가지시는 말이 소소 추리를 뭐 류코를 페도 가야 대학 소소 약보시나 류스 페도 샤요 누자시 내방요 되게 강요 말이지 집에 이제 제가 콜을 봐 샤히 샤보시고 유제문도 라고 다히 콜이야 페도는 야 치페도 파 뇌시는 거 진뇌시에는 콜 등기를 시고로 되게 강에서 콜 등기 시고 말이야 계속 다가리
Geshe-la's explanation pertains to stanza 181. And so the body is just a matter. It doesn't have a mind to react in some way, right? we could be very nice to the body as we have been, right? We feed it, we clothe it, we take care of it, but the body never, right, expresses a sense of gratitude or appreciation, right? I'm so grateful to you. You have been taking care of me all these years. So it never feels or, right, has such reaction. Or then when we die, the body is devoured by the vultures and other animals, but then body never feels like, how come you're eating me up, right? I hate you, right? It doesn't. So the body is just a matter. It doesn't have the awareness of, right, whatever you do. You do good thing, doesn't matter. You do bad things, body, right, does not have that sense of appreciation or hatred towards, And so given that thing, why are we attaching so much identification with the body? Our body is not us or I or the self, And so we should, realize that. And so there is, let's say if a body is like a human being, if you're nice to someone, they are nice to you, right? And if you harm someone, they might harm you back. Then we think about that, like, okay, I don't want to be on the bad side of that person because he or she get mad, then I'm going to be in trouble, right? There's something to do with it, isn't it? If somebody's very, like, say, maybe kind to them and they're very grateful, like, well, wow, really, you're really nice and kind, right? But body does not have such reaction or awareness of it, So whatever we do, good or bad, it's the same, So therefore, it's not worth getting attached to. There is no valid justification why we should be nice to the body, be attached to the body.
Termasi kede lüt zani ge tüme şeba tingi zani şeba mena de çoşu mega de guşu gaş jo takale ye yana lü kanki medam lü kanki de so ki kayan jao tena yi tena yi dagi büyük kanka tondi demi şeba la şakdan da gamige goni yava şeba toje ya mebe teda şeba miru sosu güde direta lükona ale eni demi şede gaduk zuza paşani ale tura şeba de mera şeba zan haku maris Şöyle kontrol şimdi gayada merası dünya ha bu paşıyor. Demi karışıyor ha bu pemboresi. Şöyle tizada tidak bir pendo kanıcı mevzil bir dünyada merası da pembo sosyal o dresi kolejde su yoya da deli ya lelo deli gavos patırasın su yavaşyadı. Pa düzesi ya mevenza. Tidak pendo zanı meve kol Kolpa penu kazi penu dili ya bu yuma dugzasını ya donsha meza ene şarjı mari şabaşları mari da konili ya kol döra ya boşene ene ko sozolu kebence yoguyor şey merası ko dugu yoguyor da döra mer şabara var işte ti penu meza döra merası penu jijo mari yüzde konu sigoro
Stanza 182, the next one, continues to say that the body is a matter from its own side, right? It doesn't have any sense of how we treat it, good or bad. Like if somebody praises the body doesn't get excited and happy, like, oh, thank you very much, you're so nice to me. It doesn't have that sense. And if somebody belittles and badmouth the body doesn't get mad, like, how come you say such baseless things about me? It doesn't, right? Body does not have that sense. And so the point that being made is, let's say, if we are nice to the body, if body can appreciate and we get some benefit, then that makes sense, right? Right, to treat the body in that way. or if we harm the body is going to have that negative reaction or whatever. We are going to experience harm from the body. Then it makes sense why we shouldn't harm the body. But body itself is a matter. It has no mind. It has no sense and how you treat it. Okay? So if body doesn't care about it, why you care so much about the body? Who are you? You are not the body. Body is not you. The body doesn't care. You're nice or you're bad to it. So why you make a big deal and then get attached or get mad, relating to the body? So that's the point.
Tela penda juba deva teda da hito ibe be tela gawa in henas this was the lukora kaya ko maris ina lul ya was no kansa de gagor ducha in kansa de gor sheda this on the in kansa de lul jawab ya maris ti shani lul shakin shi yes lavina si wata ti ina simje tamji in pige tela ya any karsa pendo shigo simje gagor pendo shina ne was dugoro so lu jiwa yoro this was the simje tamji ya pendo boda never point go shigo res this was that
at the bottom of page 134 stanza 183 that Geshe is explaining is should our mind say that I know body is not I'm not the body, but it's my body, right? They are somehow related, isn't it? So whatever is being done to the body, I'm the one who experiences it, good and bad. So therefore, I need to be attached to it, right? And if that's what pops up in our mind, then that means that all sentient beings, they are related to their bodies, isn't it? And so if you're being nice to their bodies, sentient beings will be happy. If you harm their bodies, they're going to be mad, isn't it? So in that sense, then we should really learn to cherish others' bodies. Don't harm them, because nobody likes being harmed, isn't it? So that's the lesson, right? We should take from this.
What is penalty? Luke penalty? What the Tenzin causal pen some of them. She the Shantideva Lul Nova in the Shantideva New Yakushi the Pengoza, and seems that Tom Jill became Pebasho to never much in the Yaku this human to us. Or the things Lul is the thing Kazak on the Penalty in Sosu Lul Shakashi Maris. Simply Tamsi Chikbari, and simply Tamsi never much Pebble to what is some of them.
Right. If that thought arises that I know my body is not I'm not the body, but somehow they are related here. So whatever is being done to the body, I feel it, good and bad. So therefore, I need to, right? I need to take care of it. If that's the case, then we can also see that's the same with both self and others, isn't it? Everybody else, right? They feel good if their body is treated well. And they feel bad if their body is harmed, then we should learn to cherish others' bodies as well and never do anything to harm their body, and always do something to benefit them. Right.
Oh, this is so. Then wrong lula shaki go at the hingy lula donkey, me go shiva medeto was. Oh, dear, that Judas got a new coron, the people Gadu Georgia Yomaris. That call you them at Kaza Gadul Shannon, and seems you can have Jibari never should do with the papers in the car. You could watch it. So you Jibari. She said, so you touch about see, you never shall the Kawaja take me to so this one to.
So the point here is the body itself is a matter. It has no sense or a mind of its own. And whether you do good to the body or you do bad to the body does not feel, happy or unhappy, right, from body side. But then if we justify that if, we treat the body well, then the person, right, who's attached to the body feels happy. If the body is harmed, the person feels, right, pain. Then based upon that, our own personal experience, we should recognize that it's the same with everybody else, isn't it? Then we should, as much as we think we have justification to cherish our body, then it's the same justification to cherish others' body. Never do anything to harm them, because we know the body themselves don't feel it, but the person, right, attached to the body feel it, just like I feel it, right? So that is the same thing,
Yang na yi kan yi lu de dewa dewa la yurung de komba juwe. Lu te da yi da ni shi su choba jobe gawa ina shena ne. Simje tamje ge rang lu dewa dewa sha da yin be. Simje tada la ya da go chi me ka des ga re so. Xie jang da nyam des then sasan dar yin la tamje rang lu deba hin lu de la da gu chi me ga then rang lu la shakba dang hin lu da me so xie song ba yang nang de chebar cher me nang wo so de da xie da this was simje hen da be pen do xie na never said that do or said what you got is that because long lose us the Simpson Hill never said in your shadows. What is that? What you got is. Those London degrees who are Simple time you lose the Shata, Simple Gangaya, and the one doing young was them Jishua, doing me doing young said the Kazarawa. But this is the society, Simply Shata that doing me do the other what you carry. So this that in the social door you go, Simply Shadaria, doing yoga, they cannot set to more. Tim says the T. Shanajan, because Simply times you lose. Go again, Simply times you never pong at the tissue, but so lose you all up because she will tell you go by your Maris. Oh, this is it.
So as Krishna read from the commentary, explained that, if we feel this way, or the mind says this to us, that I understand that body is the matter, it doesn't have a sense of, anybody doing nice to it or bad to it, doesn't matter. But, right, I, the person who is attached to the body, feels good and bad. So therefore, when my body is benefited, I enjoy the benefits. When my body is harmed, I'm the one who suffers. So therefore, we feel that's the justification why I cherish myself. But if those are the justifications apply exactly to all other sentient beings as well, isn't it? Just as we feel good when our body is benefited, or we feel bad when our body is harmed, it's the same with all other sentient beings, right? They have So we have no reason why we should cherish our body more than anybody else's body, because it's the same feeling, isn't it? So we should treat everybody equally. So we should never, ever harm anybody. From another point of view, as we have talked about this before, that self and others are same in that, we wish for happiness, we don't wish for suffering, isn't it? And so from that point of view also, if we feel that benefiting my body is brings me the happiness I'm seeking, then that should be the same with others' body as well. Benefiting their body is going to bring them the happiness. And harming my body brings me the unwanted suffering is the same that harming anybody else's body is going to give them the unwanted suffering. So on those levels, both self and others are same, and we should learn to treat everybody else the same way. So we have no extra reason why we should cherish our own body more than anybody else's body.
심지어 도면 용소 니버 망보 예외 샤메르바 되어나 이 다랑 류라 샤기 되버면 좋아 현나라세 펜더드베 셰두 류데 테나기 니르주 좀 천주我当小我到小驴了对不对？好像他驴所有驴从下线现在做的现在不是不是现在咋是不是现在呢？这个可是你让人家通知我的是，那这这个也在也知道对吧？那所有驴了也下线的到没现在的配的这边些的那驴的。就成的，现在偏头也多大了，好像我呢当我小这种的，现在当那你别个这些个用，电话用过吧？所以说别个让你那个现在这了呀，东西嘛都用啊没有印象，现在你身上的东西，小个人你做些的驴的呀。所以说，也想起嘛就是，甚至他们这里个什么东西的，效果也是，可是呢，过去是那这不聊多了，所以在上也这不动多了，现在就个出生那这不的这个人用过没？就开始的那这不这个没，就没个是这不聊中的，就聊这不动中这要嘛了，现在上的，那就这可能我就想上。상주를 디제리 세다 대완지 신세라 이 행이 베게 그래서 팬더줘야다 랑베 요아토야 어디서 우리스 어디서
So as Krishna explained that if we remain attached to our body and then do everything for our body, that actually is the source of suffering, you know. On the other hand, if we learn to cherish others and others' bodies and then do things to benefit them, so such attitude and actions are the source of happiness that we are seeking. You know, when we think in terms of cause and effect, that in order to get happiness, we have to create its causes, right? If we create the wrong causes, we cannot get happiness that we're seeking. And the same thing, if we want to end the suffering, we have to create the causes to end the suffering, but not do something else, you know, because it's not going to work. In other words, you know, positive actions are the real causes of happiness. Positive actions never produce suffering. That's not in the law of nature. Negative actions will never bring happiness, right? They only bring suffering because that's in the law of nature, you know. So accordingly, what we are seeking is happiness. So the happiness we are seeking, it really comes from learning to cherish others and benefiting them. Even using our own body in the service of others to be able to bring benefits to them. So that is what will bring us the happiness we are seeking. On the other hand, although we wish for happiness, we attach to the body and do everything for our own body, well, that's not going to bring the happiness we want. That's going to bring the suffering that we don't want. Okay, so those are the things Geshe explained.
What is your that? You let the hang fender to do Nuba, Tena. Della Shana, you, Maya. Garwada, Hingis or Le, Hingis or Le Shivanagi. Jaja, Laksha, Sheba, Shindu. She don't do it, told in your coin. Learn the song. 驴子送些位，他们开玩笑，我天，但这是驴子别留下休息的是的，这个过没有啥，他给了小孩啥就写着，我第几个嘛的，可能我这的留下来的，现在过平时打上也我现在的，个也写上嘛，我睡觉写上，地头那里呀，驴子里呀，到处写过来，变得高路这些呢。 所以旅馆啊，特别现在自动用过是吧？自动是吧？
老。
现在 Lüdi nemi hida cüyada da lüdi be şiro na dükşa kiyodo sen lüd güya tabi şena na ina zadung jong da de ina zadung de ke jamare de şena koço je de şakye sodu pejo don da şena en kolyo de yoro tiza pejo de ma şena ya zhong yong go de pejo don da şena yong de yong ya za ina zhong de yo de hebe go ni ina zhong pa pa yong de yo za chol tu temre şwe na
So as we have talked a lot about how this body of ours is contaminated, it's in the nature of suffering. Because of this body, we will continue to experience suffering. Now, we might come to the decision that, well, then looks like the only option is destroy this body. That'll end the suffering, right? But that's the wrong decision, as we talked about earlier, isn't it? Yes, this body is fraught with suffering, but without this body, we cannot benefit others, isn't it? So it depends upon how we use the body. Yes, body itself is a matter. It has no sense of its own, and it doesn't react gratefully or ungratefully. It's just useless in that sense. But with all that being said, right, without this body, we have no way to benefit others. Right, and of course not in this commentary mentioned, but Geshe was saying from tantric point of view, right, if we do anything to destroy this body, that is going to amount to a root transgression, downfall, isn't it? So we need this body. Okay, so the whole point we are talking about is do not be attached to this body. Don't do everything this body out of attachment, but this body has so many problems, right? That's a fact. But because of all this overwhelming sense of how this body is fraught with suffering, don't decide to destroy it, because that's, from tantric point of view, a downfall, transgression. Without this body, we cannot benefit anybody else. So for the sake of benefiting others, right, for the sake of spiritual growth, we need to take care of this body. So we need to care for the body, not out of attachment, but in order to fulfill a great purpose. Right, so those are important things to keep in mind.
Tizung Shahudi called the that lose John Shibu's ladders that and the Shiro and some of us that usually pick because of Guya, some of the Yanga Yorba. She had all things that this Lu Guya Taji Joe Maris. Called Peugeot on the Hendu Koya, any said this is you got Duyak, we get Taji do Reto, Pasaya. This is I know because of Lulu, because never did Joe Maris. Timber the Hijaba long the day to what? Little that damo is that Lul Dugan Pesha Lulung or younger the Ina. Tibetan Tenzin Dorjee Ina. Duga Yundos and the collar never see you marry the Sunjo Show Luya. Sang to Sunjo Show.
No.
But the Tato, Toto, Nato, Messiah, Zuga Harry. Lul Sunjo Show.
No.
I said the Sunjo Show is.
No.
Short Gyeltsen in the code Yungo, short Gyeltsen in the code Pendo Pijuto down to Hena. Can't you Pendo Duari would Pijuto the Majana and the Pendo Duari or what it see what that.
So as Krishna read from the commentary and explained that, in order to let go of attachment to the body, we have focused a lot on how this body has a contaminated nature. As long as we keep on having this kind of a body, there's not going to be end to the suffering, right? And so as we think about this thing, then our mind might go to this other extreme, like, okay, then I think my better option is to destroy this body. Then I will be liberated, right? Then we come going into how in the certain Hindu tradition, that's how they end up, right, deciding, because body brings sort of suffering, get rid of the body, all those suffering ends, isn't it? Yeah, maybe temporarily, but again, you are going to take a body again. And so, as Geshe explained, that much of things depends on how we use the body, okay? as great Indian master Aryadeva says in his 400 stanzas on the middle path, Chaduk Shedak, Shibkyaba, that in one sense, yes, this body is our real enemy. It is a result of contaminated karmas and delusion. It's fraught with suffering, isn't it? But at the same time, paradoxically, we need to take care of this body. We need to protect it. We need to feed it. When it gets sick, we need to take medication because, if we know how to use this body, because this body can be put to good use to fulfill the purpose of both self and others, isn't it? So it depends upon which side you are looking at it. If you look from all the negativity point of view, this body is a source of suffering, right? But from other point of view, this body is, I don't know, can I use the word necessary evil, right? We need it to be able to to benefit both self and others. So from that point of view, we need to cherish it and we need to protect it and take care of it.
That's super thing is the truth. That's Dharma is that. This is the future. This is over. This is over. This is. Don't you measure that? That didn't want that she go out my she said, or did it? Super thing is the Talas Dharma. TV saw this, the tell thing is the Medusa Dobani. Senior Machado, you move on Munipe, you did na Shenaki Jidin Nila, Mobile so. Thing is in ye, Medusa, Sim Mobile showed long the Shinji Bashila, Jikar and Jugbe, Shiba Tamabe, Juba, Jigdebe, Juba Membatani, Mutoba Meva, Toma Mevani. Lensa Badi Meva Chebe, Tan, Tizamji, show, Tizamji, show the teller, doing Jubashi, Le Gubeton, Pembe, Nibujian, maybe so. You did it now, taking some days, Dagi, Sanji Shansun so. Jungdoge, Nela, Sekevi, Jibutamanam, Jesu Yigde. Tedage, Samjula, genius of lover, Regla. Shedar loves you young, listen number years. Pagme Pome said, Narshe Lu Shibata, Dumba loved you down. Dog, Dodu Sole, Jungdog, Nela, Sober Holembe, Paiva Sherry, Tamsi Gesheva Nang. Lola, Chamber said, Rangi Yellow Lake, Waratane, Tengi, Geshe, Nida, Mukbaso, Driva number Nada, you won't be number at top of Henanga, Rangi, Nibu, Dodge, Bonala, Bear Shagosos. That is that the culture was sent that danger showers that the she was at Drora. Said Tan get Gagash Namashima, that Shia Karjos, and thing is the dog is that. The thing is the motor formation, they can send this to dry or this was. But it's that TV, she was so you see, that's how I didn't show the cousin and Sigurava. The thing is if we do show dog, send your Masha, you will bomb in the base. Nothing said, Pagme said, you move by a consider Pagme said, Dujashi, never gets off Pagme, Sigurava.
No.
Or said the Pagme, Papa Zura. Bomb in the bed, you didn't tell us, you didn't. Shenage, Jigdin, Mobile so. Jigdi, Mudu Sholas. Sing over Shade, long the Shinjalo, Bahila, Shikar Jugbe, Shiva Tame, Shiva, Jigdibe, Chiva Membatani, Mutoma Mevane, Lenabad Mevan, Chevena, Tetamji, Shaw days, Tedalani, Dungaje, Jubashi, the Gubeto Jam, Tonda, Pembeton, Jian so. You did it, take the Sunday, the wrong Sajina. Then someday, dog, Sanjay, the Shanshi Sim, so Jungdog, Nela Kebe, Kibutabana, just Nick Dick, Tedaki, Samjo, Genius Lover, Regla, or Tirikada. That thing is over, permission and room, that pollution, she pollution, thing is the pollution is. That pollution, the pollution don't that heads out of Pamir, don't the yes, to get double shiveries. This was the same number shawalism, the Pamir, the rose, and the Tia Panguris. That in the you move roll Shebashiba down, Lord Dujadi, the Toma Tadapa to be take on a common humoris. That tea degrees what that tea George Yash is what that. That in that and you don't worry. So this is what.
So we're on page 135, stanza 185. There. So as Krishna explained that we talked quite a bit in terms of don'ts, so to speak. Don't get attached to the body. Don't do this. Don't do this. Right? And so now we're like, is there anything I should do? Like it's all like don't. Yeah. Now so we kind of summarizing what we should do, right? The do list, so to speak. So what we should do is we should cultivate samadhi or concentration. Tenzin, isn't it? Without concentration, right, we will not be able to accomplish purpose of this and future lives, And if we remain, as we said, pagme, careless or lack of consciousness, as we have so far, our life has been distracted life. We have lived that life, and also that we have used so much of time sleeping. So we have talked about a number of adverse conditions, right, that prevent us from developing samadhi, such as dullness, agitation, sleepiness, sluggishness. All of those things are what we should get rid of. So that's the do list, I think, right? And so we need to cultivate samadhi or concentration. And so we should tell ourselves, well, so far I have lived my life, under the influence of so many of these things, right? The mental dullness, the agitation, the distraction, the sluggishness, the sleepiness, and all of these nesses, Now enough is enough. We have to, okay, enough is enough. Whatever has happened, enough is enough. Now I need to change, right? That's what it is. It's like a turning point. Now I need to change and don't let our life be run by the same things, So we should try to develop concentration. So basically, we are telling ourselves that now I'm kind of standing at this critical juncture where, right, it's a turning point in my life. And I have realized, reflecting on how I have lived my life thus far, and even we go back since beginning last time until now, and my life has been lived in this particular way, right? Distracted life, agitated life, all kinds of things, and I haven't accomplished anything. If those are the right ways, I might have advanced very highly on the path somewhere right now. But no fiasco, nothing, really anything meaningful has been achieved. So now this is a time for me to try a new way, isn't it? Live a life, with concentration and in a positive way. And this is a time I need to make that change. Otherwise, right, I won't be able to achieve the meaningful outcomes of the results.
소다 샤스 가 도바카리 도발냐 간가티 가르스 주주당이 레고라데 대케레 거다 가지 예마다베 여보세미도스 다른 선다시 어디 켈레시 주주당이 지어라 세다 주주당이 라데 주주 마사지 한자관테 세다 펜도미어 샤거라 어디선다 이니지미지베 미고타 상계 샤스 뜻을 미고도 따네 주주 이지베 땅으로서
So as Geshe explained with chuckles here, that the key is Dorjee, transformation, changes within, right? That's the key word, Tibetan. And for example, that we have committed ourselves to observe Patimoksha vows, individual emancipation vows, Bodhisattva vows, Tantric vows, right? In those commitments, what we said actually is that, well, before I make this commitment, I led my life in this way, so nothing has been achieved. Now I'm going to make this commitment and I'm going to change, isn't it? So having made this commitment, if we haven't changed it, we have stayed the same, then really not much of a benefit has come about, isn't it? And so all these commitments we make about is to bring changes. And that's the key part, we need to work on.
다 상계 사서서 중도 내를 개비 기부 담반한지 시선 장대 시선 닉대 대다게 삼주라 신인술라바 샤르라 세달로즈양 르즈나버리에 방위보에 쳐주 나르헤벨류 헤바다 딤바 랍두다 도주소레 조도게 내라 소블렌지 셰베 파이버 세베스 당시게 세웠나니 로드 쳔바 세데 랑이라 리바라타니 땡인지 객세베스 니다 목바 소 리바 넘버 나다 뉴모베 넘버 도바 현나자랑랑게세 님부 도지 뽕알라 베바 샤고소세 다 냠스 렌자르 티레스요다 파위신 다 파위세야 되는 연대야 말아 파위세는 되게 가지 하다자 소소 가르치고 있는 근데 대부 가도 하고서는 파위세보다 소소 가르 야고 삼디에 누자서 가르치고 소소 내가 소소 하고서 되는 어떤 파위세로 다 시진 도저는 남지가서 대 철로 가지도 되도와 다 되는 짐벌 세워서 누는 더 세워 저도 양지 땡엔 들어야 돼 이사로
So as Geshe explained that now we are at this kind of a critical juncture, right, where we would like to at a turning point, and we want to bring the Dorjee, transformation or inner changes, So to be able to do that, so we need to cultivate concentration, and we especially need to cultivate a sense of awareness, or the Pagyo Tibetan, which we always struggle to translate, right? I translate as carefulness or awareness or conscientiousness and all of those things, right? But the meaning is that whatever you are doing, if you are aware of that, okay, I'm doing this, that's what we call Pagyo, right? And then you know what to do. Is this the right thing to do or not? If you don't know all the things we are doing, then that's called Pagme, like carelessness or lack of conscientiousness. And so we have good role models to follow, right? We have Buddhas, enlightened beings, we have Bodhisattvas, right? And they have done that, they're doing it. So we would like to follow in their footsteps so that we become, so that we're able to change ourselves. So I think in terms of Pagyo, conscientiousness or alertness or carefulness or whatever else we can say, we already talked a lot about that in previous chapters, So recall those lessons and use it here. There has been said a lot about the importance of having a Pagyo, sense of awareness or conscientiousness. And as Geshe recalled from his memory that when sometimes we read the Pranjana Paramita Sutras like that, we come across statements like that, if I'm standing, may I be able to know that I'm standing. If I'm sitting, may I be able to know that I'm sitting. If I'm sleeping, I know that I'm sleeping. It looks like this is all part of practice of cultivating the awareness, that consciousness, isn't it? So we know whatever we're doing. I'm standing, I'm sitting, I'm walking, I'm resting, whatever. So we need to have that awareness. Well, that's important.
You did Tenzin Dorjee Dagi Sanji Shansen so Jundo nearly kept Gibutama Geshe Tedaki Samjula, Genius Lobar Shari Las. Sheta Lub Young, Luson number years, Pangme, Pong shared, Archive Lu Shiba Duba, what he took, Sheta Pilau, Big Patasa, Mena, not that the Gindigo did Karsa children when that door is Siguro.
No.
And the Chonzo is Sonum Chomba to say. We don't do the Tata Machine Chomba Karsi the Tan, and he had Siguro. Did Big Patasa of the Sanji Shazan, yeah, saw yes about the Shadus about the Big Patasa years. Did not hear the teachers show Logan, he said, and so the big Karsa, Tamja of Shogres or Takashi.
So as Geshe explained, that yes, we definitely need role models that we can follow. And we are very fortunate that we have the Buddhas, enlightened beings, and Bodhisattvas, and they have the expertise in terms of what we should not do, what should be abandoned, get rid of, and what should be cultivated, adopted, right? And so it's important, right? I mean, even in the context of our refuge practice, right? We go for refuge in the Sangha as our like role model companions, isn't it? Because otherwise we don't know, so that's important. All Tibetans have a saying that if you want to be farmers and you have never cultivated field, then you need a role model. Your next door neighbors, they are farmers. So watch how they are tilling the land or cultivating, then just try to follow it. So like that, for us to be able to cultivate concentrations and do our practice, so we have the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as role models. Yes.
What is that? Said the Lobala Hurshebe, Pavashebe, Chambashete, Likparata, Dingy, Yukshibe, need Mukwas, needs Mukwasana. This is what that. There's no good to not a new to say under Mare.
No.
Because some losing layer, no daughter, milk pastor,
No.
any Hagura,
No.
or Divanga says you're that is not the new movie number of us, you move that those are called again, what is a Ganga Sigura, Rana Nimuseta, but Courage in the Seva Goya, said not to Jimato, Doja in the middle so the Katuko Nimbo Yora, but here how question is Yora. Nimbu Dorno, Nimbu Dorjes, Nimbo Jackie, Minum to Jackie said the big Middle Governor, Doja Dogma, Kodo to Dogma,
No.
so Dora Yora, said, J. Nimbo to say, also gave Dr. Jor, but he gets also the how goes in the any Kachel is Garcia, Chambata, Shambashi, Rang Hills, Tanga, the Nimbo Power, the Kazai without temple lord of Taka, Mocha head, Ganga heads are that he hears that they were Yamdola. You get here at the Deba Yamdo, Ganga Yamdo, Bema, Munisina. Gordon Depot, Gagayamdoma, Chertova Shogura, you get Dull, she was dull, some shash, and it could give out the place of the Pandora Marva.
No.
She thought you might bomb, you must have received my Kisham, she was
No. So as Geshe explained, that a lot of the things in the case of do list, what we should do, we have already talked about that, right, in all the preceding chapters. So don't leave everything in the preceding chapters and then as we are focusing on the later one, right? Things already discussed there are our antidotes and practices which we need to bring here, right, into our practice. And so, of course, for us to be able to do our practice well, of course, we need to develop concentration samadhi. And what prevents us from developing concentration, among many things, is for example, agitation and dullness. And the Tibetan word mukpa is sluggishness, right? You feel very sluggish, couch potato thing. And the sleepiness, that everybody knows what sleepyhead is. So those are the deals we have to deal with. And of course, in the Dharma, right, we have been provided with all kinds of antidotes. Sometimes we have a general antidote that really, sort of one antidote that takes care of many delusions, so to speak. Other times we have specific antidotes to specific things, right? Some of the examples Geshe gives is that if we are dealing with anger, then we have to use the patience practice, right? Cultivating all kinds of patience as an antidote to that. If miserliness, stinginess is the stinging stinginess, I call it, is the problem, then we have to cultivate the sense of giving and generosity as an antidote, right? If the attachment is the problem, then we have to reflect on repulsiveness, isn't it? But reflecting on repulsiveness is an antidote to attachment, not to the anger. You know what I mean? So those are the specific antidotes to different things. And so whatever we have talked about earlier, so we should use them at the time of needs, whatever particular distractions or delusions we are dealing with.
Jigde tami vicheva taji ba danga de jigde nago sa di da kaji chö de ma je pe sen di jo sen di ke de du jo do tel da jigde nago je sigra
No, so.
to die gangal da pe do ningbo me bi chu chu se bu jigde cheva tal parte ves shiva tamji thome dunge jus chela sa ja pemba minjur be Rangila Tawa Kobaji Jesus, Sheda Shuja Tresum Zero, Jidesha, Jideva Legado Teddy Sharje, Patin, Kandre Devi in the Dele, Tamsi, Tome doing Jigimoto Menduzo, Chilla Saji, Pemba Minjubi, Rangil Tawa Kobaji, Pemba Yungi, Legend, Charmetaba, Legend, or the Charusan or the Gonguris, or this was. Shesosa, then Jigden Panga, two there, Jibanga Hiding, that is the Jibanga said, good, the news Mukbata, need the tone, duel doing the Tizum days. Jibanga said, Kadian Yonga, Guba Jixi, Guju Yin, Newsum she, Mukba she, need or Delia. Duval Dubasana de Jarita, Duvalsana, Suzer, Chirol Chaodi, to do thing over the Jibangasi.
So as Geshe explained that we should also reflect on how just working for this life alone, getting caught up with all the mundane activities really does not fulfill any great purpose. As a matter of fact, Jaramuchi has said that very clearly, that if we only think about this lifetime and fulfilling all the needs of this lifetime only, that's not called Dharma at all, right? That's called worldly living or mundane, mundane life. And on the other hand, those of us who are embarking on spiritual practice, so we have to fulfill a greater purpose, and we want to cultivate concentration. And there are at least 5 obstacles to cultivating concentration, which we talked about before, and it's listed in the letter to a friend, Shurulik, by Arya Nagarjuna. So we talk about Jingu. The Goba is excitement, which is a part of attachment, we call it. And the laxity or dullness, jingwa, right? Now we have a sleepiness here, right? And then we have the called gyoba. Again, gyoba swing again.
La.
Then the karsa thing zingi gek nga dena gyoba swing ba gyoba.
Juba
Gyoba.
Guba.
Goba mata gyoba.
Gyoba sana this was da.
Gyoba yoro da tina.
Gyoba sana this was da. Gyoba shiva this gyoba this was. Gyoba because kanshi.
No.
Gyoba shiva jona the gyoba ri.
No. Yeah, no, very kind Geshe like re-explained it. I was making sure that was on the list. Yes, regret. So he went into explaining regret here. This is regretting for the positive things that you have done. So, right, that is a negative regret, right? Regretting for the wrong things we have done is the positive one. So, so that one. So there should be 5, right? The jingui, city and excitement, and the sleepy-headedness. Then the the regret and the sluggishness. Nice.
Oh, that the debe doja la so be nyumo be se namdo nabar me to be tengin go ba le be ba sha go ba yang dole namdo mari che bo de ko ye ja zo dong xi me to tengin la ne na ka xie che ma me ba ju xie namdo to go ba la de ba de ra ne ngara da xin nya ba ta GSTDL rangi mikbala tsajikbe tengi zingi ngu rubala ti midusho nanyu pongo bata ti pongala luda sim emba go bata lu embe tawla jigdebe dude pang go bata sim embe tawla tawsola dubala so be nabar Papa Pangoba, Debe Tondua Yinla. Then Samba Hene, Gundante, Shizo Tondiva Yimba, Geshe du Shades, Tonla, Nama the Chever Meadow was or Dimra, that or did Kaje. That goes here to Karisana. Did that again? Da xian ba da xie da de ga jie sam rang mi wa zhe zhou ding zhu ya tong da lin bu wa xie lu zhen e ba go zi xie ris wo ti tong du zhou xin xie wo ji xi go ris tong du wa yin la de ne sam ba xian gu dang de xie so yi tong de yin ba zhe xin de xie de tong la nga ma de xie ba me do si wo de da Karza, then Samba Hin Dang this here, that the head in the Tungamasea delia, Jujota till Sha, Jujota Kagaduda, Papangoya, Tsujoga, or Kagashani, this is the Dejen here, yes. Dejen said, Derek Karsa, Lobun. The Shango Garza Lobun Shang Naneta Lobun Garza that being the chambers of you don't some because you want to you do those and you Lobun Shorty Kawati. Jason said, Jones Joanna Majama in a dark shot did you. Or Shah Shazar to hear what they were doing, disease that Shazar. What did what is the disease is what this was.
So to sum up, of course, this chapter 8, among many things, it's focused on equalizing and exchanging self for others. Dakshin Nyamba, equalizing self with others. Dakshin Cheva, exchanging self for others. And, the kind of concentration, samadhi is needed, right, to be able to do those things. So as Geshe explained, that to be able to develop samadhi or concentration, we have to, how should I say, we have to deal with the discursive thoughts, right? As long as we have discursive thoughts, then it's very hard to stay focused on, right? When we try to stay focused on, our goal is to be able to develop non-conceptual level of concentration. So discursive thoughts don't go along well with, that goal. And so in terms of, what to do, what not to do, we call jugdog. Juk means to engage in, dog means get rid of. So the do's and don'ts, if that's the way I can translate it. So we have talked about this already in many chapters. And so we also find it's stated in the Gyeltsen, the great commentary on the guide, on the guide, Bodhisattva Avatar. So that's what Geshe mentioned. Again, I forgot the name of that great master, right? Geshe was trying to remember, and I forgot to ask that. The Gyeltsen, the great commentary. It's incredible how Geshe mind works. I was trying to squeeze my mind, couldn't remember it. So the great commentary called Gyeltsen, literally translating, is regarded as a very important commentary on the Shantideva's guide, and it was written by a very prominent master whose name is Shirjung Lodre, right? And he was regarded as one of the top masters at the Nalanda monastic universities before. He was referred to as the northern gatekeeper. Remember, Nalanda, at the 4 entrances, the topmost scholars are at the gate. They are gatekeeper. And so until you get into, they have to debate with them and win. Otherwise, you have no permit to come into the campus, right, so to speak. So he was a very prominent, the northern gatekeeper, right, posted at the northern gate. And so a very prominent master, yeah. So we will stop there today. We have come to the end of chapter 8 on samadhi, or perfection of concentration. And Geshe would like to stop there today and welcome your questions. Yeah.
There's one question online now. This is a question from a previous week, but it still relates to today's teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the case that in this text, the order is to work on self-cherishing first, and then in the next chapter, the 9th chapter, to then work on self-grasping?
Okay. Condition check the direct again. That on the Liu Jeba Shio Rowagen. Liu Jeba, and something Liu, the Takshan Yamje Liu Rowagen. She took on dig the Kobeso Robichi, ranch engine the Rowagen. Gonoya Shedrova, Shiki Yorvesa, that's the Liu Kuba de Rowagen. The Tangzin Yorwagen. Tangzin Gonoya to the Kurim Robert in the Revesa, ranch engine Gonoya, the Niel She, Tangzin Gonoya, the Shul She go Revesa again.
The Liu Dumba data Chongju Sim Dirwa.
The Liu Nanda Jeba de something Liu de Rowagen.
Sada Liu Duba Dirwa.
Tanda Sarde de Liu Jeba Rowagen, something. Or they can ranch engine Gonoya Shedrowagen, Takshan Yamjeta, the Sherwagen. Liu Kuba Yongju de Rowagen, Tangzin. Gone Shedation will remember about the Nelia, ranch engine gone, they should the Tangzin gone shake or west again.
What that traditional do it?
No, sir. Yes, Geshe, yeah, you can.
You did the hour the Hila to the tell the Yale Hine here.
No, sir.
How don't you do anything damage here?
Yes, we could take that way as you said it, right? In the chapter 8, right, the one we just completed, perfection of concentration, samadhi, because it focuses a lot about equalizing, exchanging self for others. So we are dealing with self-cherishing attitude, letting go, right? And then the next chapter is the perfection of wisdom, and that really is focused on getting rid of self-grasping, right? We can say Tangzin in Tibetan. But in other words, as Geshe said, so in terms of practice, right? Because in order to get rid of any self-cherishing and self-grasping, we need the the union of calm abiding and spiritual insight, isn't it? So in order for that union, first we have to have the calm abiding first, shamatha, and then we cultivate the spiritual insight, then we integrate them, right? That's another way to look at it, right? Because we need that union to get rid of self-cherishing and self-grasping, right? Yeah.
Thank you. So I think towards the beginning of class today, we talked about how different traditions, they might view the body as a cause of suffering. So they think, okay, if I could destroy the body, then I'll stop suffering. I was kind of, and I guess I've had this question for kind of a while, but could Geshe explain the difference between a cause and a condition? I hear these words a lot: cause of suffering, condition. Is the body then, could it be considered a condition for suffering as opposed to a cause? And really, what's the difference between the two?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Koran condition de disagota tagi king gi kanai chelia jita sakche gi phongbo di kora tungwe rangshin songza sakche phongbo kajo yebe suji tungwe da mutun digra ge zanta dinde songza da danda dirwa nangba mai be chibe se de tang ji chiba ge chibe na la wading ngun jin che ne de ne menga la pa ya so ba dungza som lu chwa so ko subu ko me ba so na tungwe me ba char la ge ine nangbe gi de di mares ko ya jawal yang jo leng ko yang jo sabung leng la ge 제가 동에게 주세야제다 동에게 ቄ세죠 로하게 제가 교다 ቄ니기 개발 가르래서 로하게 맞은 낭배 따다 제베나 류부디 동에게 주 말에 ቄ레베 가르로하게 교다 ቄ세기 임제 스타로 나서고 류부디 사제 pom보디 동에게 교래 동에게 ቄ레 로하게 가르 어디
다 제단도 교다 ቄ페지 통지를 하고 계시나 그래서 교서는 또 일행 소리 비는 또 돈도 저 사범을 써야 돼 교수다
노선
저도 류서를 역시야 저 ቄ해서다
노선 다단다 사제 그 류데 ቄ 교래 ቄ레
라
사제 그 류데 교래 동에게 ቄ레
사제 류데다 동에게 되도록다 ቄ좀 지내가
낭배선 ቄ레 저거 로하게
ቄ리다 코데 용어라 저거도 류데 정말 말이기만 생기 사기 지지부르와
노선
이나 콜레네 코데 용어로
노선
지도 콜레지기서 차로다고
노선 So the Tibetan term for cause is the ju, and condition is the yin. Generally speaking, sometimes we take them as synonyms, right? One is the same thing. But then we also say that sometimes the cause refers to the substantial cause, the primary cause, right? Condition is something that facilitates that primary cause. The example given is, let's say, the seed, right, that produces a sprout is the cause. But the fertilizer, the water, the soil, all of those things are conditions, right? Without them, the seed alone can't germinate, you know. And so maybe from Buddhist point of view, this contaminated aggregate is more like a condition, you know. The real cause of our suffering is not this body, but it is what we did before, right? There's something delusion and karma, right? So from that perspective, we can say contaminated body is a condition of suffering. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think earlier too, so use the example kind of like you get a thorn maybe in your finger or something. So with that thorn, obviously it sucks.
No, yeah, we were saying that talking in terms of the non-Buddhist tradition, they see it as a cause.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask in the context of the example that you gave.
Yeah, thorn
in the finger. So would the thorn then, I guess, be a condition for the suffering? It's obviously, in maybe kind of a myopic kind of point of view, you get the thorn in your finger. You're like, the thorn is the cause of my suffering, but maybe in a wider, more subtle context, it's actually a condition for the suffering and not a cause. Is that true?
Okay. Kurangi mutin condition that tagi king and chi junde the nangi junde shidu chi junde ya sama supo in rawage and sama the pattern shabana de ko nisu de charu rawage sama de yagdu the sange da ke tosu shekwa ske yamarwage so sama del pe shab yimi na 다 남지 메서 삼을다마다 갈이야 다 내수 땅게 규럽데 참아라 섬거요라게 아직 제외나게 다야 삼을 야체선 담을 참아데 깬세 고충오마데 맴제 니네 용스 그러면서 참아데 깬세 고충오마데 샴바치라게
다 도시는 다 나사디 좀 땅고이나 나사다야 세마서 깬 세마 소가 이게 레도스는 어디 깬시는 디고
Yeah, so one way to think of that thorn that pricks you is a condition when we say why it didn't happen to somebody else, it happened to me. So the real cause could be related with some subtle karma, right? And so that could be the cause. And the form that pricks us is the conditioning in that context, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure how to word this question, but seems like there is a paradox, because the whole purpose for my spiritual practice is I don't want to suffer anymore. So it's a selfish endeavor. I have an attachment to an outcome. I don't want to suffer anymore. So then I discover that the problem is this notion of having a self and an attachment to a self, and I want to be free from that. I want to be free from the suffering. The body as a manifestation of a belief in a self, or a delusion that I'm a separate being, right? And liberation, or nirvana, liberation from that is getting past that. So I want to do good for others. I want to stop generating negative karma. I want to get to a state where I'm no longer selfish. But that's hard, because the whole point of this is that I'm selfish and I don't want to suffer anymore. So how do I'm not even sure what my question is, but where do I get to a point where that is going to make sense, and where I'm no longer just inherently selfish?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, I understood what you said. Yeah, I saw the paradox. I think, yeah. Koran this go Koran Chiwa the Savage that those had to shoot Mendoza Rawage. Kore those summer time by Yemi in Rawage. And then the Gelder of Stongo dos Rawage. So said the dance or they got to win young Jun Rawage, Taro Toko in a Rawage to Medi. Dine so said the Dendi Dubai Seducalia and Shan to get the check rest Rawage, Shan the Yagucha or Shan to Gucci or Mardice in Rawage. Seducala. And Shan Tenzin the test couple those are rockets. And that's all the social doing to go Marasa rocket. Did on that Yashin Yaguche or like a chat rocket. So the dingy but the Gelder was rocket. Did you Susu Dovace? Susu doing the Joy? In a that the Gelder of the Millie Yaguche or Mishan a chip of Chevrolet Slabber rocket. Gelder of Stongo said that the young shame ever rocket. So the doing me have a Cheducal Millie Yaguche in a Chixana, so those Yamne Chevy want to Carochilla rocket. Changing Koran Rangshin Mever Chan Shin Jinji School Bingo or Candidates, sometimes when the Yonsha major reducer again. Sometimes in a social tundara, Shan Yaguche or sometimes they go again. This is the social tundara again. The Shan Yaguche said they got the gas top shot George Mother, the social tundara again. Then when sometimes when the Gilder is as a Yonsha maps again. Then Yamlin Chebe Wangi Karochi, a Rimba which led to Gala, Ran changing co Mever Chat, Shan changing co Shuma to Levin go or West again. They can't demand Gelder charge, and there is some quarter majors, as the young majors.
That Jacob, the here just did he would cover. She said that bed doing a Gangalia, the amendment. They got dead, they say doing the any wrong they were part on the US are the Maria Carsa. They are the changes in Bacarsa that say in the term or so. Daje yanju gunge jorta kaza kusal chas in George. She did Sujuna de Gana. In the mission that you pass further cheese or a kid. Kill Michigan Kendall Dorjee. Kill Dorjee, she says, 시도다 다다 라마들 데리다 가서 고살치아스 가르네시 어디 치가 말 사리스
그래서
티르 사리 가르세드다 나는 시가 말데 칠 디바지에서 칠 티슈자 카드데 인데 라마디 데 장고시데 도시 휴지가리스
그래서
그래서 시 누군래야 쓰거든
그래서 cái đi suy sổ rồi chúng ta thấy ta có lên rồi ta có thể với chân rồi cái có thể với chơi với na đi ta ra số số đối tượng để ta số số cái thùng cái thằng mà để chơi vào ta số số thằng ta in bị double chill ya in a xin gì gì sao ta được số số để sưu lại rút được rồi cái mà ta số số để cũng cái rút được mà rồi cái đi làm chuyện được mà rồi cái mà ta đi coi là đi gelda rồi cái 저 소소 되었지 미리 야구 채우래 나래 돈다로 되고 유아이 메이저를 저러 말게 미리 야구 채도 소소 돈다로
나게 되셔 됐어 말 소소 지고 저저 예시 동시대는 근데 대표도요 말이지 근데 현대 생활은 대표도요 그랬어 어때 소소라도 남지 사고도라도 눈을 신샤스 라브지고라
no. I'm just trying to make sure that Geshe, at least comes with some answer to the question there, right? So I'm just pushing him. It's good. But he was telling me a story. I said, yeah, I'll translate that story, but I still want some answer to, if possible, right? Why we did it. So the Geshe asked the story, I think the contention is that if we learn to cherish others, it is possible sometimes at certain level that we're able to take other suffering upon oneself. Yeah, that possible is there. So that's the story it's about. I think the story is about a great Indian master called the Elder Kusali, right? And it said that one time he was teaching, and somewhere in that vicinity, somebody, I think, hit a dog with a rock. For some reason, the master, right, he jerked, right? I mean, he took, and he fell off the seat. And then when people checked, right, wherever that rock hit the dog, actually it hit the master on his side. So he was in pain, actually. So that's an example of how he developed his mind to an extent that he was able to take the pain of that dog, right, upon himself. Right? So that's possibility. Now coming back to your question, right, so something, right, is that, yes, I mean, there's nothing in some sense wrong with seeking one's own happiness or ending the suffering. But developing this thought of cherishing others, right, why that is recommended, looks like paradoxical thing is, when we shift our focus away from the selfishness to, right, others, then, you see, how should I say, our own purpose is, by the way, fulfilled as we try to benefit others, isn't it? Because our usual way is that we have too much focus on our own self-interest, isn't it? And that's what we have been doing all this time, but we haven't really achieved anything. Are you with me? So instead of focusing on the selfish, although we want to end the suffering, but if we shift the focus on cherishing others, as we succeed in benefiting others, our own goal is fulfilled by the way or indirectly. Does that make sense? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, okay. Because I want to make sure Geshe has some answers. Yeah.
One more question. Sure. Do you here at this temple teach any classes on developing concentration and meditating to achieve states of samadhi or the state of samadhi?
Do we offer some courses here?
Yes.
Oh, I see, yeah. That probably I could probably answer right then. Kurang kan di sigur again that the king also shine ko mit ke chambore something to pull out again. Dinde ki the and loop to ro chigi or besa again. They loop ten chigi or besa that did an anzo lapsin tigro again. Mixer and Dagara and Azol chigo made up and lambrim the shumbang ball the chili go again.
Really?
No.
She needs to cigarette.
Like she need to tanti.
Really? That the lambrim to the that young girl.
No, so. Geshe said, I mean, I don't remember as a translator for ages here, whether we did a particular course on cultivating shamatha, but in the context of many other teachings, especially stages of path enlightenment, there's a whole section very extensively deal with how to cultivate the concentration 9 levels, isn't it? And I mean, if you're interested, I mean, many good lumbering books, right? They will have a whole section on calm abiding that provides the instruction on how to cultivate it, you know. And then maybe down the line, if you give teachings and come to ride, then probably you could join, right? Okay. Yeah. 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 I think there is a meditation Geshe wants to say on Monday, right, being conducted here. Perhaps that's a good way to start it. I don't know whether they particularly talk about calm abiding, but it's about meditation on Buddha compassion, right? So at least it's to do with meditation, right? Yeah. Yeah.
There's another question online related to stanza 187.
Give me a second. Stanza.
So the final stanza of the chapter.
Therefore, in order to dispel the obscurations, I shall withdraw my mind from mistaken ways and constantly place it in equipoise upon the perfect object. Is that it?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the one.
Yeah.
So she asks, this stanza states that we should constantly place the mind upon the perfect object. Does the quote perfect object refer to Dharma generally? That's
Okay.
the question.
Thank you. Now let me find that in Tibetan so Geshe can speak very well, right? If I translate in my word, then he like, where is that coming up? So 187. Oh, that's the last one, right? Yeah. That's the last one. Again, the sikche again, nanda the jugduch do again. The liu jeba ki sikche tama chyor again. Dinal dindesh to teve tiba selve chirs ro again. Teve tiba selve chir. Lokpe lamle sem lentes yangda migla takbar yangs tagi nyambar shabar chaslar wage ta tiwadi ge yangda migpa se chorwa migbal takbar sem shabar se di jidan chöle wage takbar samul dangol dila go resa yangda be migpa se di
re yangda se da tangi da medio na yin de sha khong se de na yin ze gang ga pa ga ni si da pa yo se
no so
de 자 정신세 성도면 나 메다 샤면서 같이 가르 공부는 와 뒤에 건다 셈자고 있어.
no so so that constantly place it in equipoise upon the perfect object yangda mikpa. Well, it's to be understood in a very context, isn't it? Whatever your practice is. And if you are cultivating bodhicitta, if your mind is getting distracted, bring it back to your bodhicitta, right? If you're cultivating compassion, then your perfect object is the compassion. If your practice is to develop concentration, if your mind is wandering elsewhere, bring it back to the focus, right? So depending upon the context, right, that's what it means. Okay. Yeah.
So Geshe talked about the 5 obstacles. I'm not sure if this is what they're called, obstacles to concentration.
Well, let me see. Kentagi di something ki kala ta nga de ni da mukba da jinwa da koba da something ge la kala ma
아, 리방만 세.
obscurations, yeah.
Obscurations.
Yeah.
So these are not as the same as the 5 obstacles that we learned about in the Lamrim channel. The forgetting the instructions,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
excitement, laxity, not applying the antidotes, applying the antidotes. These are the 5s.
Okay.
So some of them seem to.
Right. Ale Quran disagrees ngandu tanda lamrim nalia ken shine dubde kanlia damga cheba dan success ro ge yanga chige wa ge shine dubbe ya ken khara ya damga cheba ene nyebu du me jeba nyebu du jeba sanga she wa ge
아, 네.
di da kunyi ni no ro chigo di khaga ro wa so ro ge 신의 만족에 야겐 담가 체바다 님보 양두 마제바다 두 체바다 근데 nga 셰 와게 아 딩가 데다 단다 딩가 세니 카가로 와서 그러게
신이 맞아 가서
가서
지방 가셔야 돼요.
집에 단다 되게 집어 손서 말 신의 만족에 가서 나도 신의 what we call in Tibetan 신의 그 same 코드로보다 디루방이게 갈라고 가서 배나
신이 두두상 계속 좀 되지. 사진 내가 상구지.
어직 라이죠
상화도 소아 셀라서도
말마디면 디 말바래 디데 경원도 되러바게 담가 신의 담가 체서나 담가 체는 신의 구매요 말와게 니버때 먹어 치지 맞지 막 제가잖아 양 요거로 와게 니버때 고대 마데나 야 어디에 마셔바게 어디
그래서 예방가 봐 미시
예방 가도 되지 제로 단데 디 지방 알아로 와 that's good it's just for us when we
Yeah, there are five obstacles and
that earlier we
eight
call the
antidotes.
five in Tibetan called faults, right? 5 faults and 8 dujejye, what we call 8 dujejjes, 8 antidotes or applications, something, right? This one is called obscurations, yeah, 5.
So they're not the same.
They're not the same, yes, they're not the same, yeah.
Okay.
They're not the same.
And there again,
단다 지방아 니의 지방 고바세 지방아 되다 이게 저기 담아 예방아세 가가
예방가 가가지.
no so yeah, those are different, yes.
okay, but some of them they're the same.
알레네
Some
그 컨디션 알이야
in both
가시에
ways.
직바라고 두서로게
나
단다 예방아 나를 여 되게 지방아 나를 여 되게 야 튜머를 여 되게 된데 누가서 거
근데 이제 그 예시겠다.
yeah there could be yes some of that
Because I remember laxity and excitement, agitation and regret, and one more. But before, Geshe says what I have a qualm about the regret, because elsewhere it's actually identified as worry or guilt. So it would not be, you would not worry about something positive you did. So it's not a regret of having done something positive, but it's more a regret, if I'm not mistaken, having to do with guilt. You're worried because you did something bad. Obviously, this is something that will impair the
so
concentration.
you mean it's not regret, it's a guilt feeling, that's what you're
It's a
saying?
guilt, regret in the sense of guilt or worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, having transgressed your
Yeah,
vows or
yeah, okay.
moral discipline.
The meaning of that, right? Yeah. 다기 그냥 아주 지방아 나리 여바세 소인 바게. 만두 가선 배는 개와리야 된 여바체는 미겨버려서게. 미겨버려 여바체는 개와를 라서와. 만두 치나 그 여바세데다 양 콘서 인지 나리야 그 여바세데다 셈데를 찍기도 하게. 셈데를 쓰게. 셈나 셈데가 소리 야만 양 콘서 여바절 디어다 농지와게. 가도에나 당에 그 미세서 선이 농거라 시선을 조임에 농지도게. 농도 여바 가가 말한 거죠.
노는 예방가 노서 되게 심제심을 쓰다.
농도 셈데로 하게.
일단 예방사도 심제다.
여바도 셈데 제거로.
레마 성상고로.
어래 알버리노. 다 농세에 배낭 나로 정게
노세다 수 예방을 시어다 되게 시는 그게 최고 시야죠. 될 농세보다.
그는 맞아요. 왜? That's right. Geshe says, yeah, regret as in worry, right? Yeah, in the sense, yeah.
Not regret for having done something positive, which of course would be negative.
Oh, sure, that's right. Yeah.
No, it's a different thing.
Right. Because real kewala again did what Karso done did what regret for having done something positive, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he just said that it's not that.
Right.
It's worry. You wouldn't worry about it. It's not, you don't have guilt about that. It's a different thing. These are two different things, right?
Or say it again. Yeah, I'm missing.
Look,
Yeah.
the way it was explained, regret meaning there is a negative regret. That's true.
Right.
Regret for having done something, you do something positive and you regret it.
Right.
Obviously, this is negative regret.
Right. That's
The
negative.
regret here is worry or guilt, and that's not what it is. Worry or guilt are not regret in the same sense. It's a regret in the sense of having done something bad, not something good, but something bad. That's why you worry. That's why you feel guilty.
Right.
That's the only reason you would feel guilty about something.
Okay, so it's a guilty. You think it's the guilt feeling?
Yeah, it's a guilt feeling. That's you just said that.
알아 그랑 디스고 다기 가르서 그래. 다기 가서 여바세 되게 카니엘 산에 개와체벌 여바체나로 와게. 다그 미게벌라 와게. 미게벌 여바체는 개와체거로 와게. 이네 다단다 데 코랑 geb에 코드는데 디 단다 지방하게 나로 와게. 디 가르서 그래. 소설 내가 디르 와게. 농거 소리 들어가게 농거 소리 차도도 딩이면서 농거 들어가게 달게 내가 약을 치다 제 마선서 농으로 쉬어가게 어디 농으로 차고나 농라고 그러다 디 갈라고 그렇게 셈데라고 그러다
노스 말이지.
약을 쉬고 마선 사이셔로 봐
심제시 버시고 다 가지. 다 가서 스페기시는 심제시 지워라.
맞아
노스는 지금 소리 말해 셔나 들 설명 좀 말아 될 노시 지워라.
셈데 체스테다 농 니르게 농 쓰고 톰 링아라지 코 짜네 다규메라를 차르고 말하게
라.
베너겐 데베나 디게다 교바사여로 와그베나 녜 미르 캉에 슬라베나다 교바체저로 아카다 게 부쇼라 데다 랍사 코때 고다 투데 람나 다로 와게 농라는 얘기 그 다규진 메더다 녜 tuk자 랍사서 시선에 녜 게엔들 tuk지 랍사서 데디 농로게
라.
녜 게엔들 시시바도 와게 그 게엔을 고다 랍사다 단다 농데 다요 와게 세미나다 녜 게엔들 tuk자 시비로 디 농 말로
노스나 소소지 가지 말해지 셰 엔디 미겔 바철로 셔를 줘로 디레지 노스
It's very hard to like get the difference between guilt and the regret. That's in Tibetan, right? But Geshe, for me, the way Geshe explains the guilt, I don't think Tibetan word has exact one, but he feels like the way he explained it is just like if you have done something wrong, right? You know that. So amongst other people, you always something feel uncomfortable, right? Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. So then we come to that,
Not
right?
if something, if you've done something good, but rather if you've done something,
Right, something
bad.
bad. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yes, you're right. Yeah. They study skin. Nong the job at the Nyokashuda. What's the
노시기시스 가서 셔 말해
law?
미데 코테리 가자 노시기시 용구도 셔 요말
Yeah, so in Tibetan, sometimes like some people, they have sort of a, in maybe English it works like it looks very guilty person or somebody, right? Yeah, right. So we have one word for that. Oh, that person looks right. Non-sexy means guilty. Something is right, fishy about whatever. Yeah. All right, so something new word to deal with there. So we'll stop there today. Well, we don't have any particular prayer requests, but you all know that there was Jetsu airline South Korea crashed on the landing, and I think almost everybody died, as far as I know, 170 something. Maybe 2 people escaped in the crew or something. So please, let's pray for them. You know, the dynamic again the 그래서 점주셔야 민두데 로코리아기 남주지 살 때문에 미강가 매버 차송아
라
로코리아라야 남주지 매반에 살 때문에 폐제 미강가 매버 차서로게 미캬라서 디게디 던달 게 마니스나 좋죠. So we will do the Avalokiteshvara prayer. Chādong Gōlun Gyōwen Gyēwō Dōng Jendōng Kēwā Sāmbē Sāngyē Dōng Kānglā Kāndē Tēlā Tēt Chēnbā Chēnrē Zēlā Chānzē Tē Om Mani Pēmē 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 Hōng Rī Gyāwā Nīyē Nyōdō Dā Chērē Sēwān Rūpjō Nē Dōwā Chīkyām Tēyē Sālā Gō Bārā Shō Page 3. Lodi Gyāzū Yūrōng Bēgā Dēng Gyēsāng Pōngwē Chūdōng Mianbā Shēn Tēnbā Zhīnlā Wāndō Jīchū Tānyē Chōgūn Gyōlā Sōwān Dē Page 5. Mawa Dame Kunjen Donga De Kanri Jongso Nida Sezo Jamgun Jawa Niwa Yapse Je Jangson Tenzi Mawe Ship Tenzin Chebe Yingon Zebe Je Sheje Nigun Changzhu Tenju Longdo Tamje Bewe Beyun Je Luja Gyazu Gundo Shabde Tesan Guangdang Chezu Zombe Ze Yongzho Yure Tubu Nyage Longri Tejin Nubu Bendenba Tubden Kanri Dabo Shabden Dona Gongmen Zeba Namda Gun Dendang Rove Lundro Gyumen Chebe Tenle Je Gesan Duje Dendo Shabden Sho Jizu Lame Tuje Mulamda Gesan Duje Dendam Sam Shoshon Dodo Jido Dom Jida Mumben Dungun Lundro Sho Page 9 Ramjan Shinge Gombo Tseba Men Zodo Namje Jinyong Drama So Shozo Tseye Lazo Tamje Daden Mishi Shoge Udu Tuden Jida Losan Jawa Yi Shiru Tenban Zembe Peyun Je Tadu Duje Jungwe Yangdu Ninje Ongbo Sowa De Jiden Sumgun Chana Pemen Tembe Zawa Soso Tau Namda Tsuden Yangda Lamba Losan Gaden Bedo Shabden Sho Tujun Gyaltsen Nunzen Yangbe Se Samjo Namje Sangzen Junbe Gomjun Shila Songjo Lebe Dembe Ngata Chenbo Shad Chebe Dongan Kowa Bojo De Zembe Rilan Wese Bomja Je Zembe Dunden Leshe Keju Shinyi Chenbo Shabden Sho Kebe Langdo Kushe Zeta Ze Zembe Chara Nyezo Rangsa Sangbe Duje Rigon Yishe No Sumden Shinyi Chenbo Shabden Tesang Rulan Jowe Tende Je Menjun Taju Zangmen Sijin Lapsun Zende Tuden Khani Chenbo Shabden Sho Shozon Gyawa Seje Chenlabda Tuden Tamjen Songmen Chonam Je Daja Hasam Dabe Shida Mumbe Dungun Lundo Sho Changjo Simjo Rinpo Je Maje Ban Gone Gondo Pewa Sho Tongye Dawa Rinpo Je Maje Bana Yeju Jewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gondo Pewa Sho Sa Shi Beji Joshi Medo Zha Rira Linshi Nyende Genba De Sanje Shindo Mede Zhugun Nanda Xingla Jeba Sho Kari Rave Korwe Xinganzo Pendan Dewa Malu Zhu Jere Zewa Tenzin Dorjee Shabe Sidi Tenju Ji Yidang Guru Rana Man Niyan Daya Min Gyawa Gundo Yangda Lama Dan Deme Cheyi Bela Longje Ji Sada Lamje Yunden Ra Dorjee Changi Goba Nyu Do Sho